So today's economy has changed a lot, and one of the foundational concepts I think is going to benefit you tremendously is going to be the Blue Ocean Strategy by W. Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne. And the scenario is that the speed at which businesses become commodities is accelerating. So back in the day, let's say you're looking for pomade, like the hair gels. I was watching Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And in that movie, the character insists on a pomade called Dapper Dan rather than a pomade called FOP or FOP. And back then, the choices for different brands were legitimate because the brands were different. They would use different ingredients, they would use different formulas. But as we move forward in today, we have increases in technology, increases in testing standards. And what that does is it lets many businesses optimize their products to quickly follow the best practices that are being done by the competitors. And so we have this very quick acceleration of quality in the same direction, which means that everyone kind of catches up to the leader very quickly. And so there is very little in terms of brand differentiation. And so commoditization becomes a big issue. Not only that, but we have things like the FDA, we have regulatory bodies, all ensuring that quality is no longer a competitive advantage anymore. It's going to be the bare minimum. Combined all those factors with globalization, and now we have influences from the entire world where we draw different sources from them, and the whole world is accelerating in terms of how fast businesses become commodities. And when we engage in commodity markets, when we're looking at a defined market share and we're looking to play the game of operating better within those tactically, almost like a military, then we play the game of red ocean strategies. We look to see what the market share is, and we look to see what can we do to take those shares from other people and to increase our own market share. And what that does is it creates a red ocean, a bloody ocean where sharks are fighting for the food and the whole thing becomes very red. And what W. Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne found during their research of fast and quick growing companies, very remarkable companies, was that the ones that were operating in blue oceans, where there wasn't as much competition because these companies had done the work of increasing the market share for everyone to increase the number of people who were engaging with their industry, that they not only had to not worry about competition, but they could charge higher prices. When they looked at the profits that came in from blue ocean companies versus red ocean companies, the blue ocean companies, while they made up around, I think it was like 40% of the companies they analyzed, those 40% or so, they accounted for about 80% of the actual profits that came in. So the margins were much bigger for these blue ocean companies. And so in today's age, blue ocean strategy is a strategy that I think is very much worth considering if you find yourself in a position where the services that you offer seem very similar to the services that someone next door might offer. Because if you show up that way, then what's happening is you are going to have to compete. And that's going to come down to convenience. That's going to come down to price. And so in this quick video, I'm not going to go into too much of the detail. I just want to show you one of the foundational principles of the Blue Ocean strategy. So hopefully you understand why it's valuable to take. So let's take a look at kind of one approach that will help you out. And the approach that they base the strategy on is going to be understanding your value strategy. What is it that you're doing to bring value to your customers, to your patients, to the people you seek to serve? And when we look at the industry, how are the other commodities currently showing up? So what are the different factors that people are putting time and energy into doing well? So in this example in the book, it was wine, but you can translate that to dentistry as well. So let's take a look at wine. So if you're looking at wine, the factors that companies would invest into in order to deliver a good experience or maybe a cheaper experience would be things like, well, price, obviously, And there is the quality of the grapes, there is the reputation or the heritage of the terroir, there is how the aging process, there is all these different factors. And what the Blue Ocean strategy starts with is laying out all those factors and seeing where is the market currently competing on. So in dentistry, this might be things like technology. What kind of equipment do you have in your office? This could be the degree that you have in your office. It could be the friendliness. It could be the cleanliness. It can be the professionalism. All these different factors that typical dental offices prioritize. What are those? And what we do is we draw out a graph of where in the priorities the current industry is focusing on. And then from there, what we do is we do the value, I think they call it the value creation matrix or something similar to that, where they look at 4 things we can do to that current value distribution. What can we eliminate? So what is something that we're doing as an industry that the customer doesn't really find valuable? Something that we don't really need to provide them of. And what can we reduce at that same time? And then what can we increase more of? And then finally, what is something completely new that we can create? And in this work, what we have to do is we have to find focus. So where are we going to be serving them? Because we can't possibly serve them across all these different factors that they care about. So which factors are we going to actually focus on? And because of that focus, it's going to create divergence. Divergence from the common way that people or your industry might distribute their investments into the value SKU. Divergence, because your SKU will look very different. And if you look at the example in the book where they show Yellowtail wine and how it kind of broke into the blue ocean of the wine industry and opened up a whole group of people who was being underserved by the wine industry, their value SKU looks completely different than other traditional wine manufacturers, right? So we have focus and divergence, and I forget the third one, but there's a third one in there as well. So that is the foundation of the Blue Ocean strategy. It's that we should stop competing with people, and if our focus is only on the competition, then we will only show up as another competitor. So to the people who we seek to serve, the patients and our prospects, we will just look like another option. But if we can do the work of expanding the market, of getting people who are underserved. So in the book, they talk about how traditionally we focus on competition, but how they say now we should focus on what are the alternatives. And it's not competition anymore. And it's not so much about how do we take market share, but it's the people who are engaging with our industry and the people who aren't engaging. So how can we find the alternatives and bring the people who aren't engaging as to expand the actual market share of the entire industry? Because if we can do that work as a leader, then we can reap the rewards of a blue ocean. All right. So again, we can't follow the leaders, because if we do, we're just going to show up as just another choice, as just another commodity. What we have to do is engage with leadership in terms of how can we expand the market share ourselves? Who are the people who are non-customers? Who are the people who aren't engaging with the industry? Why? What is a value SKU that could be beneficial for them, that they want to see? And this is the essence of value creation and marketing, as a matter of fact, because this whole process is the work of marketing, is the work of attracting more people, is when you realize that it's not going to be through visibility anymore. It's not going to be through running ads, because you can run ads all you want, you're still going to look the same. The real path to marketing and to sustainably get a large group of people to be attracted to you is to be creating blue oceans, to be taking leadership, to be changing what the status quo is and bringing a concept of dentistry that is better to the people you seek to serve. All right, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. I'm going to be creating more weekly videos now. I'll still be doing the daily ones, but in the weekly ones, I'm going to hopefully have a much stronger script, have much more research into it, and have it with more edits and a bit more engaging so that these concepts can hopefully land a bit better. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.